Here's what we're doing. Welcome to the channel, welcome to the vlog, welcome to the home. We're gonna be taking questions from our Instagram channel and I'm answering them live. What's up guys? Ask me anything because today we are shooting behind the scenes and we're bringing you slightly a long way with us for behind the scenes of the behind the scenes. So ask me anything right here on Instagram. Sort of live if you're watching the replay. Right here on the channel, let's go. I feel like I need a laptop or something. We need to okay. I think I got a fake cigar.
It's_Stevie asks, what's the best advice you'd give to someone beginning in stocks?
So the best advice that I would give to someone that's beginning in stocks is to have a game plan and don't gamble. And having a game plan starts with, number one, at least being able to read the charts. And then number two, having a fundamental reason for why you're buying the company. So that would be the best advice I give to someone getting started, because most people, when they get started and they just say, I heard this company's doing good. I heard I should own this stock. And so they go out and buy it. They haven't looked at a chart. They don't know why they're buying it. And sure enough, the stock turns around, sells off or something like that. And they panic and maybe get out at a price that's unfavorable or low, only for the stock to turn back around and shoot back up. And that's all typically because they didn't know how to read a chart and they didn't have a fundamental reason or game plan for why they bought it. So that would be the advice I give somebody that's new in the stock market.
Applejuice_Ari asks, can you show us your setup, tools, and all?
So, man, the office is over there. So we'll have Antonio slice some B-roll in, show the office, show the tools, show the setup. But to answer your question, I have a MacBook Pro, a 24-inch monitor, a 22-inch monitor. I have like an iPad in the middle of those two, not necessarily because of trading, but because when I'm doing live stream, I like to see the questions and everything pop up from the user. But as far as a trade setup, you definitely want at least two monitors. You want a computer that has enough memory or RAM that you can be running streaming quotes and any type of charting software that you're going to be using. I believe I have 32 gigs of RAM on that computer. You don't really need much hard drive space. It's more the RAM so that you can run your programs.
What brokerage do you use?
What broker do I use? So obviously I do a lot of tutorials on all the brokers, but I personally like to use Charles Schwab. I really like their Street Smart Central platform that they have. It was actually Options Express, then Options Express was bought out by the company and now it's under the Charles Schwab brand. So that's my favorite broker if I had to pick one.
Frenchie_in_Miami says, how many years have you been trading?
Frenchie in Miami. I've been trading for about, it's been about 16. I didn't say man as in Frenchie's a man. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I'm saying like man. I've been trading about 16 years since I was like, 21, 22. I've been in the game some form, shape, or fashion of just trying to figure out how it works, putting capital to work. So about 16 years. If I had my DJ horn, I'd be like,
Kels4986 says, how were you introduced to trading?
What was the question again? Yeah, because like, we're clowning, so it's like they cut behind the scenes and see like, oh, like there's people like sitting there. All right, keep talking, I'm listening. All right, we're back. Kels4968. Wrong.
KBLS, Kels.
Oh, Kels, like our Kels, like Kels. Oh, okay. What's the question again?
How were you introduced to trading?
Kels, I was introduced to trading story time, all right? I went to open up a brokerage account and they just asked me two questions. What's your goal? And I said, I want to be rich. And she was like, so that means you want aggressive funds? I'm like, sure. So anyway, if you haven't heard that story, I came back later and they lost like, I had 2,000 bucks, they lost 1,300 of it, so I had $700 left. I spent 200 to make me feel better. So then I just took 500 and bought the company I worked for, which was Sprint PCS, buying 100 shares. because I was like, if I could just make 50 cents on 100 shares, that'd be $50. And I had made $8 an hour working on weekends. So that was $64 on the weekend. You take taxes out, my take home was $50. So that was really like my passion. But then after that, my cousins, once we start seeing the power of the stock market, they was like, we should take this course and like, let's split it. It's $8,000 for a special. You could bring a partner in for free. Well, really that meant $4,000 each person. I still didn't have that. So my two cousins actually took the course together, and I felt so left out because I was broke, I didn't have the money. After they took the course, I don't know, it's kind of weird because you couldn't be like, just give me all the information I got from the course. But my cousin was like, it's my daughter. But my cousin was like, they got this newsletter for $200. Do you want to go in on it with me? I'm like, okay, I at least got $100. So I actually split the newsletter with my cousin, and that's where we were getting our trades from. But that was really when I realized like I needed to get the information from myself and not try to piggyback off somebody else. I eventually went off trading on my own, made over $100,000. But then like I got to a point where I was like, do I really know what I'm doing, or was I lucky? And so from there, I was like, it's time for me to take a course. Then I started losing money. I actually went from making hundreds of thousands to being broke at some point. And so when I finally took the course, I still didn't have the money. This company they must have been marketing together because they had the same setup. They was like, for $4,000, you can bring a friend. So me and a random guy from the seminar tried to partner up, and I'm like, well, I could do $2,000 because he'll do $2,000. Last minute, that guy actually backed out. And so I had to pay the whole $4,000. And it was that split moment that I was like, I should back out too. But I was like, I just went for it. I was like, I'm gonna pay the whole $4,000, and I actually just went for it and learned all I could from him. So, you know, I got my education trial and error, piggybacking off my cousin, and then finally eventually paid for my own course and products. And then I really start feeling like, you know, if you really know what you're doing, you should be able to teach it. And I think that's what really took me to the next level, just being able to teach it and explain it to people. That is how I got introduced to the stock market, and that's what took me down a journey of learning education on down to teaching it. Want to come get in the video, okay, baby? She said, no, don't talk to me.
Mr_Harrell says, best opening up stock for a nice option play?
Best opening up stock for, that's a lot. Like, what do you mean best opening up? Does that mean it's your first option trade ever? Is that the best stock that's gonna open up Monday, since we're recording this on a Friday? Like, I don't know what that means. So I would say, so let me go the philosophical route then. The best option play is on a company that you believe is gonna go up, period. That's it, right? If you like the company and you think it's gonna go up, get you an option. I think the real question is how much time should you buy? Because just because it's gonna go up with options because they expire, the real question is how much time should you buy? And I'm gonna say 6 months, especially if you're a beginner and you don't know what you're doing. But if you believe a company's gonna go up and you're a beginner, if you give yourself 6 months, that's usually enough time to be right. Boom. Harold.
It was no D, but it's fine.
Oh, Harold.
Fabrizio De Biase says, what do you think about Tesla right now?
Oh man, it's more about what I thought about Tesla 6 months ago when I was telling people to buy it at 300 before the split. I think Tesla's the future, but I think most of us have probably missed out on buying it at a reasonable price. So I'd love to see them split again and come back down, but I guess it doesn't matter if they split. If you buy 2 shares at 400 or you buy 1 share at 800, it's the same thing. So I think Tesla, here's what I think about Tesla. I think Tesla has proven to the world that there is a market and a demand for electric vehicles, and they've proven that they can create a market that's willing to pay 70, 80, 100,000 for those cars. And now once they prove the concept that they can make an entry level or a, $20,000, $30,000 electric vehicle, I think you're gonna see them go into mass production. So what I think about Tesla is they proved that electric vehicles are a viable product. People want them. And you can use that to say who maybe is going to be, and I'm sure Tesla hates to hear this, the next Tesla, because you hear that all the time. But it's true, right? There's no one car manufacturer. There's GM, there's Ford, there is Audi, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, right, which is part of Daimler Chrysler, I believe, Ferrari, Lamborghini. And so you've realized that there doesn't have to just be one electric vehicle manufacturer. It could be the NIO, it could be Li Auto, and then you got all of the companies that make the batteries and different things like that. So I think Tesla has just shown us that there's going to be this new evolution of investing in electric vehicles, batteries, charger grids, the same way that our parents came up when Henry Ford and them first created the Model T, and they start building roads, putting up gas stations, and start having all these factories pop up that everybody came to Detroit to work in. You're starting to see the same thing happen on the electric vehicle side. I think Tesla is just the example of where the market is going, because we're definitely not even at critical mass yet with electric vehicles.
Gary N.O.Davis says, will you mentor me?
Absolutely. Just join www.powertransuniversity.com. No, but for real, I sometimes I don't know what people mean when they say, will you mentor me? I was in a mastermind. I once heard it put like this, and I thought it was very interesting. And don't take offense to this. I'm not saying in an offensive way, but this is what I heard in the mastermind. They said kids need mentors, grown men need coaches. And so what I took from that in this mastermind was, it's like, you mentor maybe the less fortunate. You mentor those financially unable to, participate in your program. You try to mentor them. But it's like, if you've grown, you're over the age of 18, like it's time to get a coach to figure out what decisions do you need to make different in your life, and that coach needs to be compensated for their time. But if someone's like, well, I am the person that doesn't have the money for your program, again, it's like, well, if you're over 18 and I come through your house and you got Jordans, you got a big screen TV, you start to question the priorities, or how bad do you want it, right? We try to mentor people as best as we can who can't afford to be coached during the program through these free YouTube videos, through these Ask Me Anything sessions. The reality is, it's like, if you're over 18, you're 21 or older, you've had the similar life experiences as me, and you have the same capabilities as me. I'm nothing special. I didn't do anything special. I just chose to live below my means, invest in the education, and then invest in learning this industry. And I think you got the same ability, and at a certain point, you just need to be coached. You need to have some skin in the game, because I think it's going to help push you to take the mentoring / coaching serious and really help you get some results. So I believe in you. I think you can get there. I'm even humbled to even be in the position where people even think that I'm somebody that could mentor them, because I can tell you, 10 years ago, like, nobody would want me to mentor them in anything except for how to be a good cell phone salesman at Verizon or something. So I appreciate that.
The Positive Mike says, I want to learn from you, but I have only $500 now. How can you help me? For the Positive Mike, I think we got to change our language from I only have $500. So when you say I only have 500, it's almost like you already minimized what you have. And now you're like, how can you help me? You're already coming in at a disadvantage versus another person like, Jay, I got 500, let's go. What can we do? Like, me and that person probably can do more, because they're looking at it like, I at least got 5, let's go. Versus like, I only have 500, how can you help me? Now, obviously you type the question in, we can't tell the tone or the energy that you're saying it with, but I just want you to be conscious of saying like, I only have $500, because I only had $500. And here's what I learned. It wasn't about, and you've heard, if you've seen any of my other videos, I've said this before, it's not about how much money you have. Why? Somebody can win the lottery today, and why do they end up going broke? I mean, technically they got a lot of money, so they should be forever rich, right? How about basketball players, football players? We hear stories all the time. Boxers made a lot of money. How come they're broke? And so what I'm trying to get you to understand is, it had nothing to do with you only having 500 and them having 30, 40 million signed the contract.
So what's the difference between someone with 500 and 40 million? They both end up broke. They both didn't have the knowledge to grow and keep the money that they had. And so if you have 500 bucks, let's start to learn the skills to see how we can double it, triple it, flip it, or even just make 10%. Here's the mistake that most people make. I'd be like, let's take that 500 and make 10%. Mistake that most people make, they'd be like, that's only $50. That's not gonna change my life. I'm doing all of this for 50 bucks. At the end of the year, I only have an extra $600. But here's what they're not realizing. If they keep down this path and they keep making 10%, you start to do what I did. And I start to say, so if I had $10,000, that means I would make $1,000 a month. If I had $20,000, I would make $2,000 a month. If I had $50,000, I'd be making $5,000 a month. And so am I making money because I have money, or am I making money because I have a skill? Because I tell you this, if you can master the skill of how to flip money, you will go borrow $10,000 because you're confident that you got the skills to turn it into $1,000 a month. You'd sell your car and come up with $50,000 because now you feel confident that you can generate $5,000 a month. And think about it like this. If you got $50,000 generating $5,000 a month, it only take you 12 months for you to have out-earned the original $50,000. Because 5 times 12, you'd had $60,000 at the end of a year. You could repay back that $50,000 that you borrowed and still be $12,000 to the positive and still have $50,000 in the market that you can now start generating $5,000 a month off of. Obviously, there's taxes and stuff. So it's more important to learn how to flip the money or how to earn a consistent rate of return versus saying I only have 500 bucks. So what would be my direction or guidance to you is start where you are. Start learning how to flip that 500 bucks. And one last thing I'll say is some people make the mistake and say, if I buy a course with my last $500, then I don't have anything to invest. Well, once again, if you have the right information, you will find the money. You'll find the money to invest because you know how to make it work for you. And so get the information. Don't worry about how much money you have, whether that's the YouTube videos, asking questions like this on Instagram, or taking that last 500 and buying a course, even if it means you won't have any money to invest, but you'll have the knowledge. So when the money comes your way, you'll be prepared.
So what would you say to someone who's in that mindset right now currently?
Don't do what everybody else does. Interview like 10 of your friends. If you want to learn how to invest, what would you do? I can guarantee you, if you interview 10 of your friends, most of them will be like, man, I wouldn't even waste my time. I ain't got no money to invest anyway. So what I typically do is take the sum of those answers and I'll be like, I'm about to do the opposite. But just go to somebody and be like, whether it's a gym coach or somebody, be like, coach, wow, let me ask you, why didn't you get involved with the stock market? And they're gonna be like, I was waiting till I had the money. And so you, in your head, you'd be like, okay, I can't wait till I got the money. I think about like a teenage kid, they're having, probably relationships that they shouldn't have, grown-up relationships. But it's not until they have a baby and then they're not even dating each other anymore. And the girl's a teenage mom. The dad's now on the hook for child support and now they can't go out. It's like, they never really look back at how their decision to do something could compound, right? But what if that kid is Kevin Durant, whose mother got pregnant with his brother at 16, who got pregnant with Kevin Durant 2 years later at 18. Their father's nowhere in the picture. Son becomes one of the best basketball players in the world, becomes a millionaire. The reason I'm sharing that is I don't want someone to see this and say, oh, so getting pregnant is a bad thing. I'm saying that decision could compound negatively in your life, and that decision could compound positively in your life. And most people don't think about how starting with at least $100 or 500, how 10, 20 years from now, that kid who was an unplanned pregnancy could become one of the greatest basketball players and become a millionaire and come around and thank you on the stage as he got his MVP trophy when he thanked his mother for keeping him and his brother off the streets, being a teenage mom, making the sacrifices. People don't look at their money the same way and say, okay, I don't have it now, but how could the decision to start today with as little as I have, how could that compound into something great later. Can you just imagine if I say, I only have $500, I'm not gonna start? Like that decision compounded years later, I'm a millionaire. So to that person, I would say, don't underestimate how starting now, starting early, or if you're 40, 50, we got a lot of life left. Don't come in and be like, well, I'm at the end of my rope. Like, you have no idea how 5, 10, 20 years from now, the decision you make today can compound into something great. All right, guys, so there it is. You've been hanging out with me in my home and we've been taking questions from Instagram. If you have a question that didn't get asked or would love to ask, just feel free to drop it in the comments and we'll keep the party going in the comment section. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Brown Report, and then make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, and turn on the bell notification. I'll see you on the next video. I'm signing off saying, you never go broke taking the profit.